Welcome back to the Talking Dev, and we have a new video here where we are going to look into creating HTML tables. We know how presented data is important, so we are going to look into creating tables with HTML, and let's quickly get into the course outline and see what we are going to see. What we are having here, we are going to learn how to add a table tag in our HTML pages. We follow through by looking into how to define that tables using table rows and table data. And then I will introduce a little bit of complexity by adding table headers to our tables. And then we continue with that complexity because we are going to add a little bit of structure into our tables. We are going to use table head, table body, and then we are going to add at the end there the table foot. We have like two bonuses here, and one of it we are going to look at call span and the row span. That's how to span our rows. I'm going to introduce you to that concept. And then the last one, we are going to see how to make our table more accessible using scopes, and then we follow through with call group and call. So let's get into our VS Code and start working on this work. So let's go straight, and this is how we add a table. So I'll walk you step by step in the process. So we use the table tag, it's nothing complex. So here we have our table, and that's all you have to do to start adding table. Even if we save, we see nothing on our screen because our table does not have content. So in order to add a content to a table, we are going to add something we call table rows. So we define rows and columns using table rows. So that is they will run from left to right using table rows. So that's how our content will run. And each and every time we add data to a table, so we use table data. That's how we use the table data. And here I want to add a name here. So, and what we do with this table, we are going to use a fake wholesaler selling some few items. So here we'll have like our first data there, like the title of item someone is trying to buy. So we'll use this as a receipt. So we have the name of the item in that receipt, and then we are going to have a data here, another data that will be defined like another column, and then this column we have like item counts. That's okay. So have there on the first one, let's call it item name, and then the last column of this data we are going to use totals or the amount, and then we are going to say amount in dollars. Okay, so there is how a table looks like. So we have item, that's item name, item counts, and amount in dollars. So let's add like 3 products here, and we follow the same rule. And this time I'm going to use image so that we can fast track what we are doing here. And then we have like 3 of them, table data, and then 3. Okay, actually, let's make 4. Oh, it has already created. That's okay. Now, the first item we are going to add here, let's add bar soap. Yeah. So we are going to buy bar soap here, and then we'll have like 2 items in our list. And then let's say that each bar soap costs around $12. Well, that's an expensive bar soap. And then we are going to have cooking oil here. And then we buy like maybe 1 liter or 2 liters or 5 liters, depending on what you want it to be. And let's call it like $10 per 30 liter per the count or per item account that we have here. And then I think the last one is let's have washing dish, and then let's say each one of them goes at around $50. Okay, that's how, and then we are going to have like 3 of them. Now we have that one. Finally, we need to add something like totals because we need to calculate all this into a total. Let's see how to add that one. So we still have the same table rows, and then we have table data multiplied by 3, and that's a bit of image. It does help everything as we want. And then we have the title here, item in our receipt. Let's say I think there are all 6 of them. 2, 3, yeah, there are 6 of them. And then the total here, we multiply 2 by 12, 1 by 10, and 3 by 50. I think that one is 184, right? That is 50, yeah, I think, if I'm not wrong, $184. And here we have our table. Now that's exactly how we define tables. We add table rows, then we add table data, and then we continue to add like that. But as you can see, our table is a little bit unstructured. Yes, we have the data here, but we could do better. So the next thing that we do is add a little bit of structure to this table. And so what I will do, I will introduce what we call table headers so that we can have like titles for this table. So let's go with table headers here. So let's see the first row that we have here. Let's say each column title is a head. So we add table head here. And thanks, image. We are doing good there. We just change H, and that's all. And here we have table heads. Look at what has happened to our heads here. That is our display. We have our titles now are bolded and they look right like they are titles. Then let's go to the totals here. Good, that's great. And now we have table head as our row. That's the last one. That means that we can have table headers as our top columns, that introduction, and then we can have even the first side of our table, that is the first column here, or they might have headers. So this is how we see a different usage of table heads in different content. Now let's add a little bit of structure to it. Let's make meaning to different section of this table. So for the first section of this table, we are seeing that we have table rows, right? And then we have this like kind of like a small section, like having like sort of a body. And then we are having this section that have sort of a footer. So let's quickly try to use table to see how we can be able to make meaning of this. So the tag that we use here is called thead. And then let's move this guy top here. As you can see, that one does not change anything, but semantically we are adding some semantic to this table. We're making this table have more meaning. So let's go to the next one. We are going to add to introduce the tbody. There we've added nothing new. Our table has not changed. Then tfoot. That's how we add semantic to a table. We've introduced 2 more tags, actually 3 more tags: thead, tbody, and tfoot. And you can see they're easy. You just say table, and then we have table row, table data, and thead table headings, like the way we have. So now that we've added structure to a table, let's add a description to this table. Something we call caption. Let's add caption here, more like a title, and call it, let's have a name, sales by wholesalers receipt. Good. Now we've added caption here. This looks like a title, but it's a caption. A caption you can add at the table, below the table or on top. If you wanted to add as a header, I don't think there is any problem, but that's how we can add like a caption so that when screen readers are reading this table, they can see, oh, it has a caption. And that's how we continue to add meaning to a table. Now, let's add another complexity here. Let's make this table a little bit more interesting. So what we will do, we have a bonus section here whereby we are going to look at call span and row span, and then we are going to introduce these two later. So let's go back to our VS Code and see how to do that. So here we have our call span. That's a little bit of complexity. So this call span is going to add a little bit of context to our columns, and the best way to do that, I will add something a little bit new. So these are like little things that we add to our tables so that we can have like context, and maybe we can style them in a different way, or other elements that may need to add to a table to style it to look a little bit better. So let me go do that. So we have a call group here so that we can group our columns. I want the first column to have a different color than the rest too. So call, that's the tag we are going to have, and then add another column here. So what we are going to do, this one we are going to style it, and style. What we are going to, don't mind what I'm going to write here, because when it comes to, we come to CSS, we are going to see what is it. And let's use something like this. Let's use this beige. Okay. And then for the second group of columns, that is the last two columns, let's style them. Let's first span. We say that we are going to span this into two. That's the second one. We hold the last two columns. So we are going to again use the background, actually two, and then we add a different color there, background color, and then let's just use S blue there. You can see how our table look like. That's how we add context more to a table. But what we usually do using this column, you'd be adding things like class, so that you can style it more better using CSS. So this is more like something that I've thrown inside there, so you can see how we use this call group and how to use it more efficient. Now that we've dealt with that section of call group, let's add a little bit more on this section where we are going to span some rows and columns and see how to span them and make our table even look more interesting. So first, I want to have this item name, it will remain there. Then under item counts and amount, we are going to have more like a title here on top, which we call items particular. We'll call it items particular. So let's do that. Now, what we do, because the item will be on top here, that's item particular column, or the title will be on top there, and these two will still remain there. So what we'll have is that these two sections will hold like two rows. So we need to think of how to combine that one, and then the first one will span like two columns. You see? So let's go here and go to the first table header and add row span. Let's start with row span. That's an attribute. We've already seen what it is, and we want it to span two rows. And then these two here, we remove them. I will paste them back in a bit. So let's add a table head there, and we are going to call span. So we want it to span two columns. So we span it two columns, and then we call it items particulars. Okay. And then we add our other table headers there. Good. Let's see. This is so interesting. Now we have the item name, and then we have the item particulars there, and the item counts and amount were specified within that range that we've specified it, and still our column group are working as we expect them to work. So this is how we add row spans and col span to our tables. And this is not limited to the head sections here. You can still do the same to the body or to the footer. For instance, you may decide, okay, we don't want these 6 there, so let's span this guy. Row span, actually call span, let's span 2. You see, it is spans, and it's the beauty is that our call span is applying to our call group is still applying to the total, and we can see how it highlights that background. But of course, that's not what I wanted us to add there. Let me undo that. Okay, we want it to still remain like that. Now, the next thing that I wanted us to add and throw into this section of this video of table is to make our table a little bit accessible. So what we'll do, we are going to add headings with an attribute they call scope. So here we are going to have scope, and scope can have either row or columns. So we are going to add this one as column, and this one we are going to add scope as row, yeah, as column, sorry. And this one also, where the next one. So this one I'm going to do with multi-cursor here, so we can copy paste that, still work fine. Now we have our table footer here, and this one is on the row. This heading will describe the row. So what we'll do, we'll change the scope here. Okay, sorry, that will be scope, and we have it as a row. Technically, you don't see what happens, but what we've done when it comes to accessibility is the screen reader, they are reading this table. They can see, okay, this heading represent heading for this scope, or for this row, for this column, and this is how we do it. So with that, we have our table of defined, and go into details and see how the tables works. So what I've done, I've also linked our documentation here. You can go and see more example on how to work with tables. I've also linked this one for call group, because I think call group is a little bit complex, and it can be hard sometimes to wrap your hand around that. And also we have that section where we have the call, that is the column. And if you want to expand into the other details like table head and table footers, table body, we have thead, the one for headings, and then thead for grouping sections, and then we have tfoot for grouping the footer, and then we have tbody here for grouping the content of the body. Now with that, the next section we are going to cover everything to do with form, or an introduction to form, so that we can see how we structure our form. That video will be here on my right side, so go and watch it. And if you like how I share this video, please click the subscription button, like and share video. Bye.